When Google announced their Google Home Max, they said that they set out to make the best sounding speaker they possibly could. So I wanted to see how the Google Home Max stacked up compared to some popular options out there like the Bose Soundtouch 30, JBL BoomBox, and everybody's favorite, JBL Xtreme. Let's see how good the Google Home Max really is. If you want to pick either of these speakers up, I'll have links in the description below, and if you use either of the links, it really helps out the channel. Before we get into the sound test, let's go over what's under the hood of each of these speakers, cause it matters. You may know by now that the Google Home Max has dual 4.5-inch woofers and dual 0.7-inch tweeters. And it also has the advantage of Google Smart Sound, which uses machine learning to automatically adjust its EQ depending on its environment. The JBL BoomBox is the most rugged speaker in this group, and it also has a built-in battery. It's also rocking dual 4-inch woofers, dual 0.8-inch tweeters, and dual passive radiators on each side. The Bose Soundtouch 30 is the most expensive, biggest, and heaviest speaker in this lineup, weighing in at 18.5 pounds. Whereas both the Max and BoomBox weigh just a little under 12 pounds. But even though the Bose Soundtouch 30 is the biggest and heaviest speaker in this lineup, it has the least amount of hardware generating its sound. The Bose has dual 2-inch tweeters and one 4.5-inch woofer. And I'm also going to include the JBL Xtreme in this comparison because a lot of people love this speaker and it's one of the best speakers you can get right now, especially since it's on sale. The Xtreme has a similar setup to the BoomBox except smaller. It has dual 2.5-inch woofers, dual 1.4-inch tweeters, and dual passive radiators on each side. Now you know what each of these speakers is packing, we can get into the sound test. In order to make this as fair as possible, all of these speakers are playing at the same loudness in the same room, playing off of the same device, and at the same distance away from the same microphone, so hopefully the only difference here is sound quality. But if you want, you can also skip to this time code and get my thoughts on each of these speakers' performance and final verdict.
Like it was built to break off the handle. How we get to this place, we're leaving everything behind for new and exciting feelings. But I won't leave you. Will everything we know be lost and changed for something new? Only time will tell, but I'll be holding you. I'll be holding I'll be said we let it go, but we settled for the last. Couldn't let you want it though. Who am I to let you down? Who am I to let you down?
Okay, so first let's answer a very common question that a lot of people are going to ask, and that's which speaker gets the loudest. The Bose Soundtouch 30 gets the loudest in this group, living in the low 90s decibel range. But at that volume, you're going to get a lot of sound distortion, whereas the Max is the second loudest and sounds the best in this group at max volume. It does a much better job of preserving the integrity of its sound quality. Like I said on my initial review, the amount of bass the Google Home Max has is what amazes me the most. This speaker has the deepest lows and punchiest bass in this group, and it also has good instrument separation, but the mids and vocals are a little pushed back, and as a result, the Max can get overpowered by its own bass if the bass really gets going. The Bose Soundtouch 30 is all about vocals. Vocalists are front and center on the speaker, but instruments and anything else in the mids aren't as well defined, and the highs can get pretty bright. The low ends are okay, but definitely not as deep as the others, and the bass packs the least amount of punch in this group. And when it comes to the JBL BoomBox, this speaker is a pretty good middle ground between the Max and the Soundtouch. Low-end performance is very similar to the Google Home Max, but the bass is not as punchy. And the vocals aren't as pushed back as the Max, but they aren't as forward as the Soundtouch. Vocals are exactly where they need to be, and everything else in the mids is still present. But in JBL fashion, this speaker does have a lot of treble. And when it comes to comparing the JBL Xtreme to the Google Home Max, the low ends and bass of the Xtreme are not even comparable to the Max. Although the vocals are more pronounced, instrument separation on the Xtreme is nowhere near as good as the Max, and the highs are much brighter as well. The Google Home Max obviously outclasses the JBL Xtreme, and quite honestly, I would be shocked if it didn't. Although I really think the vocals on the Google Home Max need to be brought forward a bit, this is my speaker of choice right now. The Google Home Max is a great speaker for bass lovers, and as a result, you can really feel the music when using the Max at almost any volume. And that's really impressive given that it's smaller than the BoomBox and Soundtouch 30. Now, does Smart Sound play a huge part in the Max's sound quality? I honestly don't know. I really don't notice a difference in performance when I move the Max from one room to another. But like I said in my initial review, maybe Google might improve the sound quality of the Max through a software update. But for sure, Google did knock it out of the park on their first try with their Google Home Max. Now I just want them to give me more touch controls on the Max and fix their original Google Home, because the original Google Home is just not good for listening to music. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps out more than you realize. For more product reviews and deal alerts, check out jimcaddy.net. If you want to support the channel, pick up a shirt. And I'll catch you next time.